Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now, first things first, this is not a sponsored video, this is not an ad. Hopefully, you guys know me well enough to know that I would only ever shout about something if I use the product. And what we're going to talk about today is a brand new update to Coach Dave's Delta software. Now, I've been a partner with Coach Dave Academy for quite some time, and their software just keeps getting better and better. And I don't think you can get better value for money than the current Coach Dave Academy Delta package. So it is a paid service and it's going to cost you $12.99 every month. But for that, you get all the iRacing setups, you get all the ACC setups, you get access to their Never Lift online course, but you also get access to the Delta software with a brand new amazing feature. And I know for a fact I'm going to spend way too much time analyzing my data. So firstly, let's show you just how easy it is to install the setups on iRacing. I'll show you iRacing because that's my sim of choice. So you open Coach Dave Delta, you choose your sim. Mine obviously is iRacing, that's the one I play the most. Click on that, and then Coach Dave Delta says, right, join a session, we'll sort it. Then we'll jump on to iRacing and we'll find, for example, the GT Sprint Series. Click that and we'll just click on practice. We'll pick a car first. So we'll go the Ford Mustang and we'll click on practice, just as you normally would. And we'll join the session. But in the background, Coach Dave Delta is running. So we'll just make that window smaller so we can see what's going on. So these are all the people that are going to join. Watch what happens with Coach Delta. So there's a few icons at the top you can see. So the Delta connection status, it's listening for the game session. Then these two will change when the session loads in. So I'm just having a cup of tea. Cheers. There we go. Right, let's have a look. So these are changing now. So session detected status, and it's installed these setups. So we don't need to do anything with Delta. If we go into the garage, click garage, my setups, they're already there. Double click that. Week 3, week 4. There we go. So we've got endurance, qualifying, safe setups, sprint setups, and wet setups. Click one of those, and that's it, job done. It's the same on ACC. You jump in the session, but on ACC, it automatically adjusts the tyre pressures dependent on what the temperature is in the session. It's genius. Now, that's not even the best bit. Let me show you this. Right, so I did a race at Daytona in the IMSA Fix series that you might have seen. And I said in that video that I was going to have a look at the data when I'd finished the race. Now, what we're going to look at now is the new feature that's been added to Coach Delta 3.0, and that's the ability to analyze your laps. Let me show you how you do that. So we're on the Coach Dave Delta main screen, and we'll go down to this scales here. We click on View Previously Recorded Sessions, and this will then list every session that we've been in. Now you can see there the Misano GP, which is the one that we just opened but didn't actually turn a lap. This is the one we want to be looking at. This is a race that we did in the IMSA series that you might have seen on my YouTube channel. This is the data that we're going to look at. We did 21 laps, we did 16 valid laps, 5 invalid laps. Now you can click download and you can share that information with somebody else who's got Delta. But what we're going to do is we're going to open that up. And here you can see all the data. So we've got Stint 1, and then we've got Stint 2. So Stint 1 is before the pit stop. Stint 2 is after the pit stop. Now, if you've got a specific problem at a particular track, well, this software will help you fix it, or at least let you know exactly where you're going wrong. My Achilles heel at Daytona has always been the bus stop. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it very wrong. But when I do get it right, I don't know why I've got it right. I don't know why I was faster. But now I can actually look at the data and at least give myself a bit of a starting point for where I need to improve. So we're going to look at 2 laps from this session and we're going to narrow it down to the bus stop at Daytona. And I can see where I'm going wrong, which I could never do before. So we're going to click on Analyze Data. So on this page, we can see exactly what we're doing on the track. So on the left-hand side, we've just got information about the session, about the stints, lap times, etc. On the right-hand side, you can see in the top right, we've got a live track map. So if we move our mouse across this timeline, you can see that yellow dot, which is a representation of our car, that moves. So we know exactly where we are on track when we're making those inputs And then you've got information about that current point on the lap, speed, steering input, braking, etc., etc. But we want to look at the bus stop. And if we move round, we can see there on the top right, the bus stop is sector number 5. So we click on sector 5, and that will then zoom in a little bit on sector 5. You can see most of it, we're just wide open throttle, as you can see on the mini map. As we move that across, we're just all the way around the banking, the run down to the start-finish line. But it's this bit at the start that we're interested in. So we're going to click on lap number 13. So from my race, this was a lap where I didn't have any draft. I didn't have any other traffic at the bus stop. And this is how I would normally take it. So what we want to do here, we want to zoom in a little bit so we can see a bit more clearly. So if we just left click on the timeline. So if you look at the top right on the map, we want to find a point before we start braking. And then left click and hold it. Then we want to drag across. And we want to highlight until we're out of the bus stop. And then we're wide open throttle about there. And if we let go, that will zoom in a bit more. So you can see we've got the speed there. We've got the throttle inputs. We've got the brake inputs. We've got the steering inputs. And down there, we've got the gears. So 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. But we want to compare that to my best lap of the session, which was lap number 19. So if you hover over that one, there's some scales there that appear. Use this lap as a reference. So if we click that, that will then load in my fastest lap so we can compare and we can see where we're going wrong. Now, you've got the delta at the top there between the two laps. We've got the speed, we've got the throttle, brake, steering and gears, and they're all different. So as we start to brake, on the slower lap, the normal lap, we braked quite a bit earlier than we did on the fastest lap. So you can see there, and if you look at the map, it's only a small amount, maybe about 10, 20 meters, but that's enough. And then peak pressure is lower on our slower lap. So we braked later on our faster lap, which is what you would expect. And then we held that peak pressure, which was around about 68%, and then bleeding off the brake nice and smoothly. But you can see on the normal lap, you can see we're not very consistent with the brake. We're braking, then we're easing off, then we're braking harder, then we're easing off, and then we're braking again there. So just before we turn in, you can see on the map, we're braking again. So the car is going to be a little bit unsettled. So what that's telling me immediately is that we need to be more consistent with the brake. We need to brake a little bit harder and come off the brake a lot smoother, because you can see how we're coming off the brake there. It's not very smooth at all. And then there's that little bit of brake there just before we start to turn left into the bus stop. And then we bleed off and we're braking, trail braking, much less on the faster lap. So that initial turning, so the initial braking, sorry, we're braking harder, but then as we turn in left, we're just bleeding off the brakes more gradually. We're just being a bit more committed to turning in, nice and smooth, and that's paying dividends there. But you can see we're actually going slower on our faster lap than we are on our slower lap. So you can see the speed there at the same point. On our faster lap, we're actually over 2 kilometers an hour slower at that point of the circuit just before we turn in. And then as we move the timeline across, it's very, very similar with regards to braking for the second phase of the bus stop. So we've got the first phase where we're turning left, and then we've got the second phase where we're turning right. So the brake pressure there is very similar, although we do brake quite a bit harder on the slower lap. That's probably because we were carrying a bit more speed on entry, so we've had to get it off somewhere. Otherwise, we were going to run wide on the exit. So that's obviously what I've done. I've gone in too hot. Even though I've braked earlier, I haven't braked as hard. But that means that then our exit is compromised because we've had to get on the brakes. And you can see we're bleeding off the brakes nice and gradually on the faster lap. And then if we move up to the throttle, on the slower lap, we're actually getting on the gas too early. So it's telling me that on the normal lap, the slower lap, I'm rushing the bus stop. Even though I braked early, I didn't brake hard enough. And then I'm panicking as I'm driving through the bus stop. I'm having to apply a bit more brake. And then I'm trying to get on the gas really early, trying to be really aggressive. But the reference lap there, you can see I'm quite a bit later before I'm actually getting on the gas. But I'm actually getting on the gas harder. So I'm later on the gas, but I'm getting on the gas harder. Slower lap, I got on the gas, but then I had to lift off again. On the faster lap, I just waited, a bit more patient, and then got on the gas. And then when I got on the gas there, I didn't really have to let off on the faster lap. So you can see there, 7% throttle up to 70%, and then down a slight lift just to make sure we didn't get an off track. And then gradually, we're increasing the throttle up to 100% as we leave the bus stop completely. And then if you look at the gears, on the faster lap, we're actually downshifting a little bit earlier. We're leaving the downshift a little bit too late on the slower lap. So you can see there, just a fraction of a second, but we're downshifting a little bit earlier with the faster lap. So what this is telling me, I'm braking too early, but not hard enough. And then I'm realizing that, oh, actually I can carry a bit more speed here. So I'm releasing the brakes, but then I'm having to brake again. I'm just trying to carry a little bit more speed than I actually can. On the faster lap, I'm braking later, but harder, and I'm turning in and I'm bleeding off the brakes nice and gradually, and I'm being more patient as the car rolls around the bus stop. Being a bit more patient before I get on the gas. And when I do get on the gas on the faster lap, well, I'm not off the gas. On the slower lap, I'm on the gas, then off the gas, then on the gas. So at least now I've got a really good idea of where I'm going wrong. Now, ideally, you want to be doing this in a practice session or a test session where there are no other variables. If the weather's static, no cars on track, this is where I think this is going to be most effective. Because sometimes I don't know when I'm doing things right and when I'm doing things wrong. But if you've got the times in front of you, what sector was quick and what was slow, well, you can compare the two. Oh, that's why that was slow, because I did that. And when you look at it like this, to me, it all makes perfect sense. So you'll actually be able to download the Pro Laps to compare against your own. So on here up the top left, you can click on Load. And here you can actually click on a Pro. You can upload your own. You can share it with anybody else that's got a Delta subscription. But right now, there's no Pro Laps on here, but there will be some. But I just wanted to compare one of my slower laps to one of my better laps. And I wanted to show a real-life practical demonstration of how you could use this software. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, this isn't an advert. Coach Dave Academy haven't asked me to make this video. I'm not getting paid to make this video. I just think it's an incredible piece of software. And the whole Coach Dave Delta subscription package, $12.99 for all the iRacing setups, all the ACC setups, the online course, and now this feature in the software. It's all there in one place. It's perfect. I think it's incredible value for money. And as you guys know, I would never talk about something and highlight something if I don't think it's worth it. I just don't think this package can be beaten for value for what you get. Now, this is where it's going to sound like an advert. I am a Coach Dave Academy partner, and there is an affiliate link down below in the description. If you use that link, I'll get a very small commission. But if you don't want to use that link, don't use it. It's completely fine. But all those little things help keep this channel going. But get it, try it for a month. If you don't like it, cancel it. But there are added benefits for signing up for a year. You get like a 3-month iRacing subscription. You can get 10% off Acertech products. There are little benefits if you do sign up for a whole year. But hopefully this video will show you the benefits of using something like Coach Dave's Delta package. Now, there is potential of me uploading my laps or my best laps from the races that I do that week, so you can compare your laps to mine, see what we're doing differently. And obviously, if somebody's much quicker than I am, then I'm all ears. Send me your lap files. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight this incredible piece of software. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.